is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
Four minutes past 1 p.m. right here on Nigeria Info 95.1. Thank you so much for staying tuned. We'll now move into another conversation at this time, and we'll focus on making corruption unattractive. If you would ask, what is corruption? There are various definitions, but I'd like you to define corruption in your own words. When corruption comes to mind, or when you're asked to speak on corruption, what would you typically say? How would you define it? Would your mind first go to the government officials, or would you start from the bottom of the barrel to define what corruption is and how, without knowing or being intentional, you have, or maybe not, engaged in an act of corruption? So making corruption unattractive is the focus of the conversation for the next 1 hour. Now, in layman terms, it means to be dishonest or fraudulent, to have a fraudulent conduct by those in power, the process by which a word or expression is changed from its original state to one regarded as erroneous or debased. All of this give a quick understanding as to what corruption is. You can join the conversation right now via the live stream platform. You can watch on YouTube at Nigeria Info Abuja, as well as contribute to ways that you think we can make corruption unattractive in Nigeria. That is Nigeria Info Abuja on YouTube. Now, the federal government on Tuesday advised the incoming administration of the president-elect Bola Tinubu to strengthen anti-corruption and reform-minded agencies to effectively contribute to robust economic and public finance. Now, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, said anti-corruption agencies were well positioned to guide and shape government policies. This came as she stated that the latest frameworks put together by the Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative would help in resolving the negative impact of oil, gas, and mineral exploration in host communities worldwide. In her advice to Tinubu, the minister said, I quote right now, "Let me use this opportunity to appeal to the incoming administration to strengthen anti-corruption agencies and reform-minded institutions like NETI, that's NEITI, in its economic policy agenda, considering the agency's unique national and international mandates." Now, the results of a recent study show that corruption in Nigeria could cost up to 37% of gross domestic products, GDP, by 2030, if it is not dealt with immediately. This cost is equated to around $1,000 per person in 2014 and nearly $2,000 per person by 2030. The boost in average income that was estimated, given the current per capita income, can significantly improve the lives of many in Nigerians. Now, 5 steps were used in developing this report to estimate the cost of corruption in Nigeria. The first step was to examine over 30 studies to understand the way that corruption affects GDP in Nigeria. And sources were getting from various organizations to help better understand where we are getting it wrong and what are the options that we can explore to ensure that corruption doesn't take over everything that we have. A lot of people believe that corruption is holding Nigeria back from developing due to the selfish interest of some and the fact that it's them against those that they have been put in charge of. What are some ways that you think that we can make corruption unattractive? What is your option? What are you doing in your own space to ensure that corruption doesn't make any progress? And when you see something, you say something. It might seem selfish. You might come off as a bad person. But if every Nigerian learns to speak up and fight corruption, however little it is, however insignificant it is, would you agree that it would in turn make Nigeria better and closer to the dreams that we have of it? 0700 951 0000, 08095974869. Those are the numbers to call in right now. You can also join the conversation on WhatsApp at 08099930137. On YouTube, I'm live right now at Nigeria Info Abuja, so you can go onto YouTube at this time. Simply search Nigeria Info Abuja and you can join the conversation. Now, recently, Tinubu said his administration will make corruption unattractive. And by this, he says he is going to put in place incentives that guarantee a conducive working environment and policies that make it easy for workers to acquire credit facility. And he said the lack of credit facility, or the lack of consumer credits rather, which could make it easy for workers to acquire properties such as houses and cars, make them susceptible to corruption. He also emphasized his commitment to the unity of Nigeria, promising to be fair to all. Do you agree to his statement that all of this, when put in place, will defeat corruption? Or are there other things on the side that can be tweaked to ensure that Nigeria defeats corruption in its entirety? Let's get to you right now. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Welcome to you.
Good afternoon once again. Itodo from Gwagwalada.
Welcome.
Fighting corruption, it is not until out of corruption it's perpetrated and you then bring the conflict to justice. No. Fighting corruption is at the beginning, at the formation of the system. A system that will be preventive of committing corruption. But Nigeria corruption is highly institutionalized, it's deeply rooted, it's inbuilt in the system. So you have to reform the system. You have to rid all of our institutions of corrupt tendencies. Corrupt practices is the institution in Nigeria system. So we have to reform. That is why we say they should restructure Nigeria so that a sense of belonging should be given to every region, to every institution. And it should be about creating wealth. Our institutions and structures are not focused on creating wealth. It's on spending, wasting the resources. That is why corruption is prevalent in Nigeria.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome to you.
Yeah, Mr. Itodo, how are you, sir?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
And this is Boris Azar.
Welcome to you.
Look, the fight against corruption is a collective. It's not, there's no way it can be a one-man show. As I'm talking to you now, sir, there are about 3 areas, ministries from where we're expecting payment, but nothing is forthcoming. Why? There's something wrong. There's something wrong, very, very wrong with due process. It's not right. They will say this man is a lawyer and behaving as if he's a copper. That's what somebody said at the central pay office. Understand? And it is very bad. It's not right. People will just be suffering or until you give them something before they do anything. There is a case I handled for 12 years. Understand? 12 years. I submitted my bill for payment in September last year. Up to now, I have not been paid. And people die. That's why when civil servants leave office, you see them suffering because of what they did, why they were in office. When you punish people, I'm talking about myself now. I'm not talking about corruption generally in Nigeria. It's not right. When they leave office, they begin to face problems because of what they did to other human beings. They forget that it's God. It's not right. Buhari said we're going to, sanitize Nigeria. It did not do anything. It's even worse. God will intervene. In Jesus' name.
All right. Welcome to you.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Itodo.
Welcome.
Yeah. Well, you said in the definition of corruption, you said...
What is your name?
It is defined as a form of dishonesty.
What is your name? Before you go on, please.
My name is Itodo from Maitama.
Welcome, brother.
Okay. Yeah, you said it is a form of dishonesty, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And the only thing that can stop being dishonest, because it is a natural human being to be dishonest, no matter how you want to think it. It's a natural virtue to be dishonest, because the opposite of being honest is dishonest. So it's a normal natural virtue, and certain things makes us to be dishonest. Things like being disgraced or being, embarrassed, or, people that have this fear of whatever. But when you add impunity to it, it makes it look like if they must do whatever they want to do to be corrupt or to be dishonest. Now, one thing that checkmates dishonesty is the ability to give accounts. Because if someone knows that he's going to give accounts at the end of the day, he will do everything to be honest. Once you just feel that there is a form of dishonesty, there is no accountability, you can be dishonest in what you do or how you do it. So dishonesty is being checkmated by good accountability. Once you can account for your actions and for your inactions, then corruption will be brought down to zero. Just accountability. Because once you can give account and you know that the people you are giving account to are non-biased, they are the most unbiased people, then you are sure of being honest. And that is how it goes for every sphere of the government. When government knows that they are not accountable to anybody, they behave anyhow. They can declare a certain amount of money and nobody says anything. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Welcome to you.
Good afternoon, Honorable Itodo.
Good afternoon.
Yes, my name is Justice of Peace.
Welcome to you, Justice.
Yes, sir. Our president-elect saying that he will put down some credit facilities in order to make corruptions unattractive.
Unattractive, yes.
For me, is I think that will even give more strength to corruption in Nigeria. What are Nigerians crying for? What their take home cannot take them home. Right now, they are collecting loan already. And most times, by the time they collect loan, they assess loan for house, for car, for school fees, for rent. And by the time they will be in paying loans. The take home can't even take them to anywhere anymore. So I think we are talking of making the take home reasonable and how to, look at this housing issue to make it easier for them. In terms of dealing with corruption, sir, for me, I mostly trust on systems. There was a time we talk about using private email to carry out official jobs. Is there any way we can put this, let's say, like a ministry, having a one email where people communicate and everybody can see? There will be this transparency, no hiding, no secret interaction between you and a client. Is there any way like that? Put a system that way they will be so transparent. Nothing will be hidden. And you see these things happening. People can see what is like in immigration. You can imagine that my immigration man can tell me to do passport is 80,000 naira. Why is 40,000 naira in the office? And because I do not know much thing, I do not know everybody. I can ask any other person. I have to just abide by what he said. But if there is a system where everybody can just assess and see what is going on and communicate openly, and every other person can see the communication, I tell you, these issues will be stopped. But in this our coming government telling me that they can deal with corruption, I doubt it, because the ground in which I even coming in is a corrupt ground. Thank you, sir. Have a blessed day.
Have a good day as well. Welcome to you.
Hello, my brother. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I wish you a nice day today.
Thank you. Same to you.
Yeah, my name is Obedient Moses Nwachukwu, calling from Banel.
Welcome, Moses.
Yeah, we are talking about corruption, right?
Yes, we are.
Good. The only way to stop corruption in this country is for accountability. Any of this ministry or any of these ministry that get money to do something, after doing the thing, they should come out openly in the national radio, national television, and give us account how they spent the money. Now, where am I heading to? This last election that happened, we all know how much they gave to INEC to give us a credible election. Now, those materials they bought did not work by giving us that credible election. So I am suggesting that INEC should come to national television and tell us how they use that money. And that is where you now see corruption will be going down gradually until finished. If not, Nigeria's first name is corruption. Thank you.
Welcome to you.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It's Kingsley calling.
Welcome, Kingsley. Go ahead, please.
Corruption fight. One thing is that you cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. You cannot fight corruption when the process through which you come to power is not corrupt-free. Mr. President-elect telling us he's going for corruption. But there is an allegation of bullion vans in his house. He has not been able to come out and defend it. And in the election petition tribunal, he's opposing transmission of the outcome of the proceedings. He doesn't want us to see it. We have not been sworn in, so you can know the taste of food, the smell, that even eating it. Thank you.
All right, Kingsley. Let's get to some of your thoughts via the WhatsApp platform right now. But quick question for you. How are you implementing some of these things that you've gone on to share in your business space and to those around you? Because we're always quick to point towards the government, but we are government in our own little spaces, in your business, in your workstation. How transparent are you in ensuring that you give account and you're open about your daily dealings? You communicate everything, and when you're handed anything, you do it in the best of your ability, no cutting corners, and you're able to defend yourself when the need arises. Looking at your messages right now, you can send yours as well to 080-9993-0137. Don't forget to also include your name and your location. Corruption is simply any dishonest act. For example, if I bypass my meter, it is corruption. So any form of dishonesty by anyone is corruption. Now to government officials, if you are not honest in assets declaration, it is corruption. If you bank resources for the general good to yourself, it's corruption, and so on. Therefore, if there are no punishments attached to the acts of corruption at any level, then we cannot fight corruption. It will continue to thrive. And that is from Tokbe. Should there be punishments attached to corruption? When you ask that question, a lot of people go all the way to China to say, listen, the reason why China is different from Nigeria is that when public officials do corrupt practices and they leave office, there is a punishment waiting for them if they are found guilty. But in Nigeria, if you're found guilty, you have to go through the legal process. Or if there's an allegation against you about corruption or on corruption, you have to go through the legal process, which allows you to defend yourself. If you're guilty, you serve time or pay restitution or whatever it is. Should there be stiffer measures put in place to prevent corruption?
There's a place where you can get it all trending.
People are dropping on their vehicle and running, leaving their vehicle.
A place where you
I keep my sunny side up so they can see me from above. I keep my sunny side up. No more running from the love. No more, no more. I keep my sunny side up so they can see me from above. I keep my sunny side up. No more running from the love. Yeah, hey, pour me up.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
Now, some dynamic effects of corruption include lower governance effectiveness, especially through smaller tax base and inefficient government expenditure. Weak investment, especially foreign direct investment, explaining that it's harder to predict and do business under a corrupt environment. It also goes on to affect lower human capital, as fewer people, especially the poor, are unable to get adequate access to healthcare and education. Patrick right here says it is the legitimate right, reacting to a previous story, of the 18 ministers who are also members of the ruling party who campaigned for the party to seek for reappointment. All right, Patrick, we've moved on from that conversation. And Virtue from Aso Drive says the easiest way to define corruption is to carefully watch and do analysis of shenanigans, actions, inactions, reactions, body language, and general attitude of current regime since they came into power in 2015. What some have done to some individuals and their psyche and failed to do to make Nigeria and Nigerians progress is perfect definition of corruption. They have no moral right to advise anyone about fighting corruption. Corrupt practices is synonymous with what they are doing. They have been romancing corruption from inception. Virtue from Aso Drive. And Belasyanovich from Maitama says there is a need to know basis, but when transparency comes calling, only those that need to know. Accountability fears no allegation. Welcome to you.
Hello, Itodo, my man.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
Yeah, my name is Chris. I'm calling from Garanta.
Welcome, Chris.
Yeah, the story from the president-elect about fighting corruption. Well, in my opinion, I would say that I don't believe it. I don't believe in fighting corruption because there is this saying that you cannot find a healthy teeth in a rotten mouth, which means
You cannot find. So what do you mean by that statement?
yeah, when the military came, is questionable. Okay, it's not transparent. So I don't see transparency coming out from there. But the only thing I can take away from this, if Nigerians are listening now, is the issue of restructuring. Okay? Because of this, the recent actions or the body language, there's this suggestion that is actually taking somebody from the south and Niger Delta in particular. So that is one thing that is common between him and then Peter Obi. When you get people like this, why we are reaching for Peter Obi? Because of the sound mind, the principle. Okay? The man is as clean as anything that is about human beings.
All right. So what exactly is your point in all of this? So we're sure we understand you.
The point I'm trying to make here is that one, if we talk about such a creation of jobs, I'll give it to you because by their saying that you pick somebody from particularly Asabit from Niger Delta to be able to help him achieve that restructuring that every Nigerian is yearning for. I score him 100% for that. Because you cannot restructure this Nigeria. You cannot restructure, particularly economic restructuring, because you start somebody from where the economic base of the country. Sitting on the table where that is being discussed, being number 3 man, you cannot achieve that. For you to achieve that or even point in that direction, I give it to him. That's the issue of corruption. So, if you said you will fight corruption, if you do that restructure and you is able to create job from that restructuring, I think for a very long way, the thing will create more jobs and possibly, bring in some more people who will actually look at the direction, the same direction with a view to reducing corruption. But saying him by himself, apart from the fact that he needs to take that job, so it's not a corrupt service. Because it takes only somebody that is not corrupt to be able to fight corruption to a country. And that's why we have been looking for Peter Obi.
All right, Chris, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts right there. You can join the conversation right now via the WhatsApp platform 080-9993-0137. You can also call 0700-951-0000 and 080-9597-4869. Welcome to you.
Hello,
good afternoon. Adebayo, can you kindly project so we can hear you clearly?
Okay.
Hello, Adebayo.
Can you hear me?
It's improved now. Let's try this. Go ahead.
Okay. My name is Oloyo from Usetu, Adebayo.
Welcome.
The issue of corruption in Nigeria, it be like HIV. It's not cure. Unless I want to kill the person who have HIV.
Well, that's not the way to go, but what exactly is your point? That's not a good example to give.
Let me tell you, Mr. Itodo.
Yes.
I know, let me tell you, like now, if the husband and wife and children in the house, there's a corruption there. No 100% in Nigeria. Perfect. Understand? Everybody have a corruption. Even me, we are talking about corruption now. Everybody in Nigeria. I'm a driver. You get some things where we do, where we say, match.
Hello, Adebayo.
It's a corruption. Nobody 100%.
Okay. Sorry, we're having a hard time hearing everything you're saying, but what you shared is a lot of Nigerians have corruption flowing in their veins, and you were trying to give an instance about you being a driver and how you're corrupt. But then the question is, while you blame the government for being corrupt, what are you doing differently to fight that corruption in your own space to ensure that you're able to make that change in terms of making corruption unacceptable? I mean, it's a gradual process, and eventually we're able to get to that point wherein that's the least of our worries and we focus on what's really important. Welcome to you.
Good afternoon, Itodo.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. This is Mary from Gogolada.
Welcome to you, Mary.
Thank you. Your question is how the president said he will fight corruption. The president said he will fight corruption.
Yes.
And I want to ask, have you ever seen somebody who stands inside a bucket of water and still wants to lift that bucket of water up? Whether it is possible. Is it possible?
Well, we can try it and see how it goes, eh?
Okay, when you go home, please try it. Just fill your bucket with water.
Okay.
Enter it and stand in it, and then try to lift the bucket up.
All right, let's have you get to your point right now.
So tomorrow, you now give me the answer.
Okay.
What I want to say is that for you to be able to correct a misnomer, you must try to do the right thing. If from the beginning the process even that brought you in is faulty, then I don't see how, because people are watching. So those people you intend to correct are also part of the system. That's why you see, even in this government, people voted for APC before because they advocated change. And they said the other government was very corrupt, very incompetent, and then they wanted a change. And now you came with the change. And the change is not changing. So instead of them to try to change what they saw that was a misnomer, when they say a PDP did this, so now we are in competition. So when you come in with through a wrong process, instead of trying to change the system, you will be competing.
But how would you say the process was a wrong process, seeing that he was officially announced by INEC?
It was officially announced through a wrong process. That it was officially announced does not make it the right process.
What makes the process wrong? I need to understand what direction you're coming from.
Because it didn't meet the requirement that is constitutionally mandated for somebody to be announced a president. And then the INEC chairman told us to wait, that he was going to review we should allow him announce collect the figures. He was going to review before announcing. And we went to sleep, and at 4 a.m., like a ghost, he now announced the results. Okay. So, and now we have agreed that he has announced the result. We are following the process, the people concerned. And then now we are sending people to distract people up and down. It's still a corrupt process. Corruption is not only to steal money. If you are a father and every day you bring women to your house and your son brings women, you will not have the mouth to tell him don't bring, because he will ask you, what of you who is bringing? If you are a father that sleeps out every day and then your son starts sleeping out and the mother reports to you and you ask your son, why are you sleeping out? The father will not have the moral justification to ask his son, why are you sleeping out? Because the son will remind him that he's also sleeping out. I'm seeing what my dad is doing. So they are watching, when the baby rat, the mother pig is eating, the baby pig is watching. So they will also do the same thing. So nobody will correct anybody. And then the process will continue like that. Thank you.
All right, Mary. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Have a nice afternoon. She's gone on to state and give a sample of what you can do to see if indeed we are fighting corruption. But we already have a president-elect, and those who are aggrieved are in court challenging the process that brought him into power. And anyone who's got a grievance is also advised to do same. So we can't say that INEC did not do the right thing. According to the books, they stated that what the law says about declaring a winner, and according to INEC, he won by popularity votes. For the 25% in the FCT, that's in the courts for the courts to explain and break it down to the proper understanding of all Nigerians. So we'll wait on that to happen and see how the process goes. But for right now, we have a president-elect, except the courts state otherwise. Now, you've gone on to mention various things and various ways that we can make corruption unattractive. And Mary mentioned something. It's not just about stealing money or taking money. There are other things, other actions or inactions that you can go on to define as corruption. But what's important in ensuring that it becomes unattractive is being transparent and accountable, like some of you mentioned, strengthening the rule of law, promoting engagement so people understand what exactly you are doing in that office that has been handed to you, and reducing poverty and inequality. Now, a combination of all of this, because one of these options will be unable to challenge or fight corruption to its barest minimum. A combination and with intentionality, we might be on the way to achieving a corruption-free Nigeria. It might seem like a hard task to achieve, but once we are intentional and ready to get on with it, I think it's possible, don't you say, to achieve a country where we are focused on developing and not worried about who is corrupt, who is doing this and who is doing that. But would you report someone who you go on to discover is corrupt? Could be a family member, especially if you are benefiting from them? Or would you say, well, it's not my business. It doesn't concern me, just because you are a beneficiary of whatever it is that they are doing wrong? Is it easier for people? Do we have these channels wherein when you go to report, you are not scared about being arrested as an accomplice or someone who has got something to hide as well? Welcome to you.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Itodo.
Welcome.
Thank you. This is Gift.
Welcome, Gift.
Yeah. You're asking of ways to make corruption unattractive.
Yes.
Yeah, and you said the Minister of Finance said something about the new administration trying to strengthen
the anti-corruption agencies. Yes.
Yeah. So I wonder why they are leaving the responsibility for the next government again. Okay. So, but then fighting corruption can only be done with most of these things you mentioned. And then having that person who is actually willing, with the self-will, intentionality, and, also have integrity in himself. Okay. Yes, we cannot always trust him or her, because most of our politicians, although I'm not basing this on only politicians, most of them come on the mantra of these things. But at the end of the day, you find out that they are not, there are still some questionable characters in them. Okay? So that somehow, when you now even check and ask yourself, with the due process a lot of people have been mentioning, you come in with flawed process. And I say this flawed process not only as politicians, as a civil servant, as a businessman, as an ordinary person on the streets, whatever position you find yourself, and you are coming in with, some irregularities, whether you can use money to buy something, to buy connection, or you probably have connection somewhere, or you can use to bribe yourself to an opportunity or something. Those are still corruption. It doesn't really rest on only the politicians. So for me, I think the only way to curb corruption in Nigeria or any other country is penalties. Stringent penalties, that when they hear, when somebody has become a scapegoat, it will serve as a deterrent to others. It's just the law. If you want to go spiritual or supernatural about this thing, it is also there for most of us who believe in the Holy Bible or Quran. These are some of the things that guide our decisions, that guide our everyday life. Knowing that there's a penalty somewhere. It may not happen to you while in your life, in your lifetime, but yeah, after the world, after the lifetime, there's something waiting for you. So that's what most of us, I just believe penalty will guide a lot of us. That's just the only way to curb corruption for me. Thank you.
All right, Gift, thanks for your thoughts right there. Welcome to you.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, my name is Maxwell.
Welcome, Maxwell.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes. I stumbled on your topic. You said the president-elect says he wants to curb corruption.
He's going to make corruption unattractive in Nigeria, yes.
Okay. But for me, I want to come from the angle of telling ourselves the truth.
Okay.
We need to always tell ourselves the truth and embrace the truth. And that's the only way we can move as a people. I believe it is laughable for anybody to believe.
Sorry about that. If you can, Maxwell, do to call back. Itodo, let our leaders allow the constitution and laws of this land work on anybody that goes against it, whether you are rich or poor. If not, corruption will not end. I rest my case. Prince Dennis from Piakasa. And Mika from NNPC Towers says, we must first look at who is bringing the corruption. As for me, corruption can never go away from Nigeria unless we start the process from top by some incorruptible people, of which, okay, don't forget that that's preaching about corruption, or the preaching about corruption rigged their way in. So how are they going to end corruption in Nigeria? I come in peace. All right. And Jacob Ode says, fighting corruption starts from our families. Any form of dishonest act should be properly treated both in the family and in our religious houses, where everyone is part of it. We can have control over our inner urge and live sincerely for God, then corruption will be maximally overcome. Welcome to you. We cannot hear you at all. If you can, do to call us right back. Welcome. Hello. Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Are you there?
No. Yes, I'm hearing you.
Welcome to you.
Yes, my name is Ochomo.
Go ahead.
Calling you from Cuba.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you move away from your device so you don't get distracted by it?
Okay, yes, I've gone out. So
okay.
as it is said, you know, a human being generally, or in Nigeria particular, a majority of us, the corruption, majority of us are corrupt in one way or the other. But I don't want to go biblical here where they say everything is the same. Corruption has categories. So it depends on the one he wants to curb. But coming to his promise.
Before you go on to that promise, before you leave this point you just made right now, where you say corruption is different and depends on the one you want to curb. So would you say that we can ignore some and focus on the others?
Yes, there are some that are detrimental to our well-being. And there are some that are not too harmful. Yeah, that is what, like, if you come biblically now, they will say, like, I'm in Abuja now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want my friend to know that I'm in Abuja. I will tell him that I'm in Kaduna. They say you have lied. It's a sin.
Yes.
Then you take a knife, you cut somebody's head. They say you killed. It's a sin. You understand? And some of my Christian people will tell you that it's the same. Right from when I grew up, I told them that it is not the same as far as I'm concerned. So everybody can interpret the way he wants. You understand
so
what I mean?
How does this relate to corruption? And we need to understand your point clearly.
Yes, like a corrupt man who goes to maybe an errand for an office, maybe officially, he was given maybe 1 million naira to go and buy accessories for the office. He buys the accessories. He took transport 2,000 and he wrote that he took 5,000. I'm not telling you. No, somebody is giving the same one. He goes to the market and buys something of 100,000 for the company and takes 900,000. Now, two of them are corrupt. But the other type of corruption can kill. That the other person can make the mission not to be accomplished with the kind of corruption, with the kind of stealing the person did. But the other person stole anyway. But
so bottom line is they are both corrupt. Because
I'm looking at it from.
Well, yes, I get what where you're trying to get at.
But some are supposed not
can you listen to me?
Into the office at all.
Ochoma, can you listen to me, please? I get what you're driving at, where you say both parties have committed different levels of corruption, but it is still corruption, whichever angle you look at it from.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that the other aspect may not bring a country down, but the other one will cripple a country.
But it is corruption, Ochoma. Okay.
I know,
yes.
I know. That is what I'm saying. This now is that I don't think you can wipe it out 100% from the surface of the earth on Nigeria. That is what I'm saying. You can't wipe it out 100%, but there are some that are deadly. Yes. But
okay. All right.
Coming to his promise now, I don't want to be sarcastic or what. You know, I want to quickly, from one quarter or the other, they said he's corrupt, it's not that I buy into that, but I know that because I know that Nigeria is not, you can't bring a cent to rule. But it is said that if you want to catch a thief, use a thief. So let us see. He may be able to do it. That is just it. That is just my own view anyway.
All right, Achamba, thanks for sharing your thoughts right there. Wherever angle you look at it, corruption is corruption. And the more we make excuses, the harder it is to fight the level of corruption in the country. And we just keep going back and wasting resources doing things that are of no benefit to us just because some people have decided that it is their sole responsibility to take things that are meant for the good of other people. Welcome to you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Itodo.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you so much.
What is your name?
My name is Daniel.
Go ahead, Daniel.
I want to on the issue of this corruption. My point is very clear. We cannot give what you don't have. Yes, sir. Now, this president-elect or president announced, he said he will fight corruption. There's no way you can fight corruption. Look at the person they are taking for. Can you hear me?
I'm listening to you.
Okay, look at the person they are taking for Senate president now. The man has a corruption case on his head. You want to plead that president, that's the president we want to be the Senate president. How do you want to fight it? This is the same man that you said, Honorable Minister, off your mic, that you said, oh, no, he said from the same him. So there's no way we can, this country, for this country to move forward, for us to have a better country, every one of us must be on deck.
But I mean, you know, the law states, Daniel, the law says that everyone is innocent until proven guilty. And if the case is still ongoing, we have to wait for it to end to see how it plays out.
Which of the cases is ongoing? When you say the case is ongoing, we know in Nigeria, the court cases that announce someone that stand for Senate, stand for president, than making the candidate for is it Yobe, the current Senate president now. He will know he stood in president. The court announced him as is he the one? See, we must stand out and correct our system. If not, we'll keep on moving in a cycle continuously without any result. This is the same apart was a APC president aspirant. How come somebody will have staff for two positions? What are we saying?
All right, Daniel.
What are we saying? We are teaching our children the wrong way. I'm follow it through. There's no way we can eliminate corruption when our elders keep on doing the wrong thing and the young ones are saying it.
All right.
I will tell you everything is okay. Which court? Go help us.
All right, Daniel. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Let's go on to what's up right now and wrap up this conversation shortly. Everyone should account for the money that they earn. My solution to corruption: we all know our salaries monthly, and we business people know what we sell from A to Z. Government should create a national award system where Nigerians who are corruption-free, for Nigerians who are corrupt-free. For instance, civil servants of a ministry can vote for the best staff that are corrupt-free or corruption-free, and this will promote positive values and integrity in the system. Sheun Adiagbo from Gwarimpa. Would a reward system be good enough to make corruption unattractive? That's what Sheun was stating. And Oshodi Ebenezer says, if you pay for the job I won't do the right thing. Most times people pay for jobs and they don't want to do the right thing. How can you pay 150,000 naira for 5 houses? How? How would you import these things or some things and want the country to get rid of corruption? Always live within your means. Shikana, that's what Oshodi Ebenezer is stating right there. For those who are saying that people are corrupt, do they have any evidence to prove their claim? That's Oludade Abiodun asking a question. I think people should stop attacking issues with sentiment. if the president-elect says he will fight corruption, we should give him the benefit of the doubt. And Max from Otako says, let's tell ourselves the truth and embrace the truth as a people. It will be an insult for anyone to believe that anyone can make corruption unattractive in Nigeria. We are watching, and the world is watching as well. You think the youth of this country are clamoring for what is wrong? The transformation of this country is a long walk, and for me, I don't believe that we can get the change with the way that we are going. May God bless Nigeria. Can we be bold enough to kill the chicken that laid the bad eggs in our society? Make corruption an offense punishable by death. Obi Temple from Buari. And this one says, attempting to write... Okay. Right, Nikki. This curbing of corruption thing is very irritating coming from people who talk about it. Why is it that most of us choose to hide our heads in the sand? Can you give what you don't have? As far as I'm concerned, if this result stands, we are simply encouraging corruption. God have mercy. Nikki right there, sharing her thoughts on corruption. A lot of us have called in and sent messages to share their thoughts on what corruption is and the best foot forward and how the government can do things differently to ensure that it becomes unattractive to anyone, whether you're in public office, you've got a private firm or business. I mean, what would you typically do to a staff who you find out is running your business down by being corrupt or engaging in corrupt practices? Would you fire them? Would you give them a warning? What options would you explore to ensure that they learn a lesson and become better and honest enough to maybe stay back or find something else doing? Fighting corruption starts with us. So we need to all ensure that before we blame the government, who say that they are doing their best to fight corruption, but it's fighting back, I know you would wonder, how exactly is it fighting back? But it begins with you. Being honest enough, being transparent. And that's the only way you can look up to those who are in office or in public office and ask them to also be transparent and give account of everything that has been given or laid in their hands. Thank you so much for joining the conversation today and sharing your thoughts on various ways to make corruption unattractive. You can catch the conversation on YouTube after now at Nigeria Info Abuja, and still joining, share your thoughts, your comments, and of course, let's know how you will be making corruption unattractive. At 2 p.m., it'll be time for trending news, and right after, we'll get into the sunny conversation.
This is Nigeria